It is Monday morning, October 7th, according to the calendar here, and we are now entering week 7, which is really an important week in the course because of the new timing issues we have in the online program. This is the week that the major final assignment is due, and you got a heads up on that assignment last week. And now the link appears, and with the instructions reiterated, and also some material this week about what some of the issues you may encounter. So why don't I start off with Unit 7, with week to come, and then I'm going to go and backtrack a little bit into what we did last week in Unit 6, because I think that was very interesting. So number one, the assignment, as you see, is what I call a consultant's report, and it can take I think we explained pretty well in the documentation that you've seen that what the format takes and what we're trying to do. And we're looking at global issues in sport economics. And for instance, the readings I've included for this week, they center a lot on maybe the most public of global sporting events, at least for universal consumption, is the Olympic Games. And the Olympic Games, as we know, happen every 4 years. Well, every 2 years, actually, if we look at the staggered schedule for winter games and summer games. But it's a really massive event, right? It's the biggest sports festival we can think of, maybe rivaled only by, or in some cases exceeded a little bit by, the World Cup in soccer. So this is the big thing. And countries and cities go all out to get the Olympic Games in their country, in their city. Yet many find that they're left with a legacy of a lot of problems instead of a lot of benefits. Others find that they've had a lot of benefits and not many problems. So the whole idea is, what about the global nature of sport? So I'm using the Olympics as an example, but when you read the assignment, I'm not confining it to the Olympics. I'm asking you to look at some questions as if you were the head of a very large organization, a consultant to a very large organization. The Olympic Committee's one, but a major league, a major sports organization. You know, we ask some questions, example questions like, well, should the NFL really have a team in London? We play games there now. Or the NHL. Why don't they have a team in Quebec? Things like that. Global issues in sport. Think about it. Soccer, we've always said, is the world's most popular sport. But close on its heels now, we're finding, is basketball. The World Cup of basketball has come a long way. Basketball leagues in Europe. Players are interchangeable between the NBA and Europe. Europe used to be definitely a minor league. Well, it's not so minor in what we see there anymore. So these issues are something we really need to discover and consider, and that's why I have set up the assignment as it is. Understanding that under our new requirements for the last couple of months, we have to get grades in right when the course closes. That's why the assignment is due at the end of week 7 and not the end of week 8. But you had a heads up about it last week. And so hopefully people have been preparing themselves, getting to work on it, getting going. And please, if you have any questions, please contact me, okay? I want to make sure everything is as clear as it can be. And with a small group, I think we can do this. Now, I do want to back up into last week. We had some really good discussions, and some really good points came up about college sports. You know, and college sports are something obviously near to my heart. I was a student athlete in college. I've been a college coach. I did an awful lot of my doctoral research about college athletics. I've written about it. I'm currently writing an article about it. There's lots of things out there. And yet, all of a sudden, it keeps popping back into the headlines, not just because it's in season, but a week or two ago, California passed that law, right, that says college athletes should be allowed to profit from their image and likeness. And it brought to the forefront that whole question we had all along about, should we pay college athletes? And I see that people had some pretty strong opinions. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm still kind of torn on the issue. I understand the position of wanting to pay college athletes. I really have a whole bunch of reasons why I don't want to pay college athletes. But one of the things I thought I would do is, if you'll note, at the beginning of this week, I, right away, even before we get into the Unit 7 material, I posted two things that are carryover from Week 6 that I think you'll find very interesting. And one of them is the NCAA Division I manual. This is the rule book. This is where you'll find 412 pages, I think, of rule after rule after rule govern college athletics at the Division I level. Division II book is pretty similar, and so is the Division III. But the public sees Division I, so that's what I thought I'd put out there for you. And just about any question you have about a specific rule that's in place right now, you can answer by reading that book. Go straight to the section. And in fact, I answered one or two people last night by posting that rule book in the discussion. You see, because we'll make some kind of blanket statements sometimes, and people definitely who haven't gotten your level of sophistication with it definitely make some blanket statements. Oh, college athletes should get paid. Don't understand the mechanics. Or college athletes can't, that's not fair. A regular student can get a job and a college athlete can't earn any money. Well, that's not a fact. College athlete can get a job just like any other student. They only can't get certain jobs or getting jobs based on certain qualifications or characteristics. And those are all laid out. But to make blanket statements without understanding is something I think we should learn to avoid. So, I've provided you the source of information. Now, you're probably going to find a lot of stuff in there that you disagree with, and that's fine. That's great. There's a lot of stuff in there that I have a problem with. But there's a lot of stuff I understand what they're trying to do. And think back to when we talked about a week or two ago about competitive balance. That's an issue, and we tend to forget that as we move on. So think about some of the scenarios that could come up. Think about what we were discussing and how it affects some of our favorite sports and some of the things that people read every day. Interesting discussions, and I really appreciate the work that everybody puts in. Now, I'm just going to back up one more time. Really important, if you have questions this week, ask them. This is the one. We're going to get this done, and I'd love to see it done right. I think what I'll also post for you is two examples. I'm going to look them up because I have permission to use them. An example of maybe one of the best versions of this assignment I've ever seen, and I will also post what I consider to be one of the, anonymously of course, one of the worst examples of the work I've ever seen, so that you can take a look and say, this is what I have to do. Okay? Look, guys, it's getting near the end. Everybody's done well. I want everybody to finish just as strong as we've started. We had a rough start. I think we've recovered very well. Let's make sure we keep it going to the end. Okay? Thank you for your attention, and please, once again, ask me any questions that you have. Thank you.